Chuck Kushner. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and guests, young students from Notre Dame High School, and the departing student from New Hartford High. This is the 6th annual Poet Laureate contest of the Utica Rotary Club, and it's an annual event that has grown and grown, if not in numbers of poet laureates or poets, certainly in the audience we've got assembled today. For your edification, this program is being televised live around the world by Walt Morrissey of MPG TV, who's on the other side of the podium here. So this is a big event, and we want to hear lots of applause and yelling and hooting for your favorite candidate for Poet Laureate. Just to recap for those who are guests or new to the club, this started in 1995 as a lark that became a major event of the club. Dana Gerard was the first winner. And has subsequently returned each year trying to recapture that fame and glory, to say nothing of some of the funicula, the hair that he lost, that won the laureate of that year. 1996, Larry Golden, who's also back, did a wonderful rendition of Wanna Be Has-Beens. Tom O'Donnell, who's been introduced, in 1997 said, "If I don't win this year, I'm going to kill myself." Well, instead of doing that, he resigned from a very lucrative bank job and entered a seminary in which he will graduate, I believe, next year.
You must have read my instructions. I said cemetery.
Christine Pataki won in 1998. The times, they are changing, and they certainly were. In 1999, Jack Dale. Time flies. And where is our bard? Right here. With his laurel wreath, we have an orb and a scepter, and he has his white virginal dressing gown on. I'm not sure whether he's going to take it off or going to sacrifice him at the end, but he's back for a return. Let's go through the rules and judge them very, very quickly and then get into the program, because it's a long program. We don't want anybody to leave. We want everybody to enjoy themselves. There are no rules. It's a free-for-all. It's open. There is a time limit, 3 minutes, or less. Points will be deducted for anybody who goes over that time.
There's only 3 of us.
You'll still be penalized. The 3 knockdown rules. The judges are led by Neil Bornstein. A board-certified psychiatrist. And while we don't know exactly how they're going to make the evaluations for the ultimate winner, we do know that this year some new technology has been introduced. There is going to be an instant playback, so that they will be able to listen carefully to each word. They will be able to judge based on the syllabic construction of their tones and any real or virtual meanings that might be. We've introduced our contestants this year. Will be Jack Dale. Yes.
The judges can explain what you just said.
Talk to your doctor. Jack Dale will be making a return appearance, Larry Golden, and Dan Gerard. So we've got 3 former Nobel, right? We have 3 formers who are going to fight valiantly for their own award. Before we did this, I thought it might be worth doing somewhat of a classroom exercise here on what is poetry. I looked up a few definitions of it from some very famous poets. Poetry is the rhythm creation of beauty in words by Edgar Allan Poe. How about, I could no more define poetry than a terrier can define a rat. A Hausman.
Excuse me, mister.
Yes.
That's more than 3 minutes.
This is only the introduction. Before we begin, since I'm not competing for the orb and the scepter, I want to tell you why I'm a writer, not a poet. Because I created a little ditty, some screed as my wife would call it, just to get things started. So I could prove Carl Sandburg's truism that says, I've written some poetry I don't even understand myself. Oh, what a wretched, burning, searing, seething week it's been, as area politicians have accused me of committing journalistic sin. I spoke the truth and called them hacks. And for this effort, I've had to deal not with them, but with their flax. First, Mayor Hanna on his radio show called me just an idiot. And I, in reply, told his closest aide to tell his honor he can do it. Next came King Kaiser III, who said I only printed crap. But Wild Bill really meant to say, I think, as he can't tell fancy from fact. These politicians need to know that if they keep up with their silly games, it won't be long before the voters do for them what we can't do. And that is simply tell them, no more boys, it's time to go. But as I end, I need to say to you, my fellow Rotarians, the real truth, if it be known, is that all good journalists are incontrovertible contrarians. There is no more that needs to be said than for me to simply go ahead and introduce to you the bards who do create the winning lyrics of our next Poet Laureate. Introducing
Chuck,
Jack.
you can have this.
Jack Dale.
I hope you'll bear with me. I've been fighting a little bout with bronchitis, so I think you can hear me.
No sympathy.
I'm going to dedicate this poem to a man who, in my opinion, best symbolizes the third item of the four-way test.
What is that?
You see him each week with his warm smile and his friendly handshake, making the rounds at Rotary meetings, building goodwill and better friendships. Roger Breslow, this one's for you. On one condition, that you do not interrupt me.
I'm too stunned. For once.
Good. All right, here we go. Shoot, if you must, this old gray head. Just spare me till this rhyme I've read. Last year you saw fit to crown me your king. So here I am back again doing my thing. Last year you made me feel like a groom at Niagara. Except for one thing that was missing, however. Viagra. Every day since, when I'd go for a walk, I'd mull over plans for my next little talk. What could I say to continue my reign? I taxed every part of my poor mother brain. Before my ideas, wait a minute. Before my ideas would go up in vapor, I'd write them all down on this piece of paper. I pulled Utica Rotary's history book down from the shelf to review our club's 85 years of service above self. Now, Roger Breslow, please pay close attention to this. The next few lines I don't want you to miss. Rotary began back in 1905, before anyone here was yet alive. Paul Harris was the lawyer who started the wheel. Chicago, the place where he cooked up the deal. So you see, Roger, had a good lawyer not had his way, none of us Rotarians would be here today. His ideas spread fast, and in 1915, Utica Rotary came on the scene. 104 guys signed the charter that year. Hotel Utica, the place where they met with good cheer. Seymour Hart was the man first chosen to lead, funding a dental clinic, the first project to fill a community need. The club met at the Utica until '72, then was forced to go looking for someplace new. First was Grimaldi's, Westminster, and Ramada Inn. Vincent's, the consort, till Twin Ponds took us in. Through the years, we've sponsored 13 new clubs who've made Rotary home. Most recently, Gus, but the first one was Rome. 8 district governors have sprung from our ranks to serve Rotary well. They all deserve thanks. There are 2 living governors we're especially fond of. You know who they are. They're Stratton, Ramonda. And there's another soon to follow in 2002. Don Reese is his name. I'm sure that you knew. Since the start, there have been many activities worthy of mention. To list all of these is sure not my intention, but choosing a project from each avenue, I'll just highlight a few of the things that we do. We did spark the birth of the Children's Museum. Now kids go there to learn about science, nature, history, and to see them. Each December, we sponsor a party for handicapped folk, complete with entertainment, a meal, and a joke, a coat. For over 30 years, we've hosted students from faraway places, taught them our ways, learned their customs and graces. And we've sent many area students to spend a year overseas. They report back a year later on their adventures with ease. Pride of Workmanship Awards, our vocational services thing. The recipients beam with the pride that they bring. Club service people have always been a vital part of the club. Meal tickets, greeters, chaplains, programs, the roster and hub. A very good project, one that should keep on going. Volunteers at Columbus School help kids as they're growing. Our most recent venture deals with hammers and saws, a habitat house built by our efforts, a truly great cause. So there you have a very brief overview of Utica Rotary and all that we do.
Close the nomination.
Tough competition. Larry Golden, the 1996 Poet Laureate.
Actually, when I signed up for this, my understanding was that Jack was going to be competing, but also that Malcolm Hill was going to be competing. I guess I'm going to have to throw out my first poem, Over Hill, Over Dale. Esteemed judges, fellow contestants, President Dan. My first effort, I have 2 efforts. My first effort is something that was not done specifically for Poet Laureate. It's what I call, quote, practical poetry. Those of you who know me know that I frequently seize upon the opportunity to use poetry in my everyday life. And in this particular instance, I seized upon it the opportunity to use poetry in the practice of law, and with successes you'll see. Last summer I was called upon to represent a client who had an incident in the parking lot at Cavallo's restaurant. It seems that he had driven over there to pick up his 13-year-old daughter, and he pulled into the parking lot, and as he was about to pull into a parking space, his daughter, 13-year-old daughter, came running out of Cavallo's, and seeing him there, playfully ran up to the car and hopped up onto the hood of the car, rear end first, on the hood right in front of the driver's window. And he was almost at a stop, and so he continued to inch his way into his parking space. Unfortunately, nearby happened to be a New Hartford policeman on bicycle, believe it or not, who immediately, promptly came over to the car and issued him a ticket for violation of a section entitled Clinging to Vehicles. This is section 1233 of the Vehicle and Traffic Law, and so when he contacted me, he said he had this ticket. My first job was to do what any lawyer does, and that is to go to the books and research the section. And with my first reading of the section, I hit upon the exception, those of you who are layman may call this the loophole, that was going to get my client off the hook. The section basically prohibits allowing any person to ride on or attach himself to the outside of a car on a roadway.
None of this rhymes.
This is a little like Mike Evans's effort for your two-liners. In any event, it says that it prohibits anyone from allowing a person to ride on or attach himself to the outside of a car on a roadway. This was in a parking lot. And so I wrote the following poem, which I promptly sent to the district attorney.
It was also in the park.
And I swear to tell the whole truth, this was sent. While picking up his daughter in Cavallo's parking lot, this dad was greeted by his lass in ways that she should not. She hopped upon his driver's window, all without a push, and there she sat, as on he crept, a window decked with tush. An officer on bicycle, the statute misconstrued, he issued Dad a ticket. That is simply what ensued, and what Dad did is no offense. That's how I make the call. 'Twas in a parking lot, you see, not in a road at all. Section 1233 of the V&T law, Dave, is aimed not at this conduct, and that is how we're saved. It's aimed at conduct in a roadway, not a parking lot, and so we'll seek dismissal for this violation not. Incidentally, I got a dismissal. It's a good thing, because if I did not get a dismissal, I was going to have to seek a reversal.
But you were found in contempt of court for submitting that poem.
Now my other my second book, excuse me, wait a second.
He's even shorter than normal.
Where'd they come up with the expression briefs?
In the spirit of Andy Rooney, did you ever wonder what has happened to that new blue book that Don, our president, has said we will have that suede-like look? That blue suedene's what he calls it. That's without a doubt our club's complete directory, if ever it comes out.
One day we'll be out of it.
Scheduled to arrive last summer, then delayed till fall. It's winter now, so holy cow, will it come out at all? What's the problem, Don, we ask? Just what got in the way? Did the press grind to a halt because of Y2K? Perhaps the problem's in our membership. It's always changing. So just when Dana thinks... problems in our membership. It's always changing, so just when Dana thinks it's set, it needs more rearranging. Or maybe it's the suede cover that's so hard to get. Those animal rights people want a suede for their pet. Can it be that FX Matt opposed the ring design? Because 3 rings was the logo for that beer called Valentine? Or is it just some vanity that Don and Dana share? They'll keep retaking pictures until they grow some hair. It may be our Rotarians can't pick their favorite photo. If Dana wants hair cover, then perhaps he should pick Toto. If only we could figure out what's causing this delay, perhaps this new directory would debut here someday. Maybe it's the victim of Ed Hanna's ban on press. If that's it, we can get it with a simple FOIL request. If you want to know the story, just to solve this mystery, why this printed list of members is so late, it's history, I'll share a little secret about this Rotary exclusive. The choice of color, blue or gold, is why it's been elusive. Alas, I must confess that I'm the one that back it's holding. It may be blue for Don, but in July it will be golden.
I could just see him doing this poetry before the United States Supreme Court. It really goes to prove that when Larry does his poetry, he follows the long Jean Cocteau's comment saying, the poet is a liar who always speaks the truth. Next up, Dana Gerard. You're not going to do a hair poem, are you?
We'll see.
Off his wall.
Actually, without too much preparation, there are some nice segues into my presentation today. As Don said, I am the membership chair for the district, and one of the challenges that we face as a district and as Rotarians throughout the world is how to make Rotary appeal to Generation X, the next generation of business leaders and community leaders. And many of them are business leaders almost before their time, especially in the high-tech area. And these are young men and women who are as likely to wear a nose ring as a college ring. And it's up to Rotary, I think, to try to appeal to this group. And Rotary International has actually responded to this challenge. And in doing a little research about what RI has available, there are many books, and one of the books on Rotary's recommended reading list is about this very subject, is about Rotary appealing to Generation X and recruiting Generation Xers to be the next generation of Rotarians. And the book that I purchased from Rotary and actually used as a basis for my presentation today was on the recommended reading list between Volume 5 of the Complete Rules of Rotary and this book, the latest novella from Rotary International, The Man Who Missed 4 Meetings in a Row and Was Immediately Plunged into a Vortex of Personal Despair. So if you go on the web to find this book, that's where it is.
Ron can't have a conversation.
How come it doesn't rhyme?
I'm not responding if you're not in the room. But the book that I speak of is called Rotary Recruiting Through Rap. It's Introduction Generation X to the World of Rotary, and it includes a handy English to Gen X dictionary. Pretty helpful. And so what I would like to do is give you kind of a work in progress, something that I'm I'm developing for district membership recruitment. And this poem is called Rotary Information for the X Generation. Yo. This is a work in progress, so I'm keeping my guide here handy. I may refer to it throughout the presentation. 100 years or so ago, in a little town called Chicago, lived this dude by the name of Harris, big time attorney where that don't scare us. Brought together 3 Mac daddies, drove a Model T cause they wanted no caddies. They formed a club called Rotary. It's the reason you're here looking at me. Here and now, 95 years later, as service clubs go, there are none greater. Throughout the world, above self-service, the Utica Club makes me just a little bit nervous. Who's the president? I'll tell you Donnie Reese is in his college lair eating Reese's Pieces. It's not too scary. Utica's answer to Drew Carey. Captain so good, almost as funny as PP Gibb on the boat of service, so flying out of the gym. We're teaming up with Habitat to build this dude a crib. Each Friday noon, you'll probably hear from Roger, Lawyer Basher, Vertical Arbor Roger, Ricky Houlihan throwing loaded questions, little fried potatoes playing hell with my digestion. There's a dude at the button board fabricating greetings. Every Friday all that's left is front row seating. Dues and service fund get my cash flow beaten, and you best not be missing 4 consecutive meetings. Yo. Honoring our workers, recognizing teachers, slinging vermicelli at unsuspecting creatures, gifted like kids from around the planet. I don't think one was ever named Janet. In the 1980s, long time ago, RI went after polio, forming a tag team with the WHO, and was far and wide, coughing up dough. Rotarians alone took on this undertaking. 120 mils what we thought we'd be making. Fight kids' diseases most egregious. We raised 240 times more money than Regis. Years later, how we doing, yo? Ridden the world of polio, giving salt from Yemen to Borneo. We got a little way to go. The West is free of polio, been that way since '94. I bet those hipsters in Chicago could not imagine how far they'd go. We'll soon be passing that service torch before we put rockers on the front porch. Service not self is what matters most, as Paul Harris, Rotary's Holy Ghost. Now's the time for Rotary backers to welcome Gen X and Gen Y slackers. Not all wearers of a business suit. Tomorrow's RI is today's youth. Stay bogus, y'all.
What can you say? Are our judges ready?
We'll be conferring for 1 minute.
Okay. As you see, this is one of those.
You're a man, Dana.
They have 3 minutes. It doesn't take a lot to get a laugh. But I want to tell you that sitting up here looking at you folks, the ones who laugh the hardest we hope, will be the ones who will someday consider this organization of their own. The students themselves will have a hysterical time. Glad to enjoy it. And now, our august chairman of the judging committee.
As a psychiatrist, we're told to be non-judgmental. So I was in a bit of a dilemma. And we did have a drop-in candidate who said nothing. We want to honor him. We were waiting and waiting for President Tom to say something. Nothing happened. I also wanted to take a minute, because they asked a psychiatrist to do this, to say that I felt that this whole event has a theme. It rhymes with weenie envy. It rhymes with weenie envy. Keep that in mind. And that the word poet laureate, when we look at the ancient Greek and past meanings, poet rhymes with meaning weenus, okay, and that laureate comes with long or lariat. So this whole thing was an issue of weenie envy. It doesn't rhyme, it's perfectly okay. We also were looking forward to other candidates who didn't show up. Mike Evans, I don't know if he's still in the room. Not this year. Please come back again. And there was some effort in my conversation this morning with Jeff Wheatley, who was at home ill with the flu for 3 weeks. Are we counting the dismissals at this point? He didn't get to me on the issue. But I think, as we all agreed, it was 100%. Yo is the current.
Something better than the orb and the scepter, the mouse pad. Soon to be followed by something Swedine. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. It was a great show, and for everybody, again, just a wonderful time. Highlight of the season, downhill from here. See you all next week. Thank you.
I don't know about you, but there's nothing I enjoy more than sitting around with Tim Allen and having a yak about Nepal. I too congratulate Marilyn and her sister Suzanne, who were honored by the chamber last night. I've still got something stuck in my craw though about that advertising campaign that I suggested to you that you still haven't used. Holland Farms, come on down and check out our buns. All right, the frivolity's over. Let me explain the rules. We have 7 contestants today, so they'll be parading up here shortly. The first rule, and these are the rules that we established basically in year 1. This is the 7th annual contest, and they've held up pretty much to any test that they've been susceptible to over the years. Number 1, there are no rules. Number 2, each contestant has 3 minutes, except the ones that go longer than that. No spitting, swearing, slaps, or any other behavior you might have seen on the Jerry Springer show. Two words are expressly prohibited. George Carlin had 7, we only have 2. Perfunctory and Nantucket. And of course, as is true in all our programs, at the end of the program, we'll open up the floor for Rick Houlihan's questions. We have a different judging panel every year, and this year President Larry has selected everyone in this room as a judging panel. So the Poet Laureate will be selected by a vote of the table electoral college, and here's how it works. Each table in the room will nominate one elector. So those tables with fewer people have essentially more power per person than those with more. The elector will cast a ballot for each table. The contestant capturing the greatest number of electoral tables will be the winner, regardless of what anyone else thinks. All right, it'll be a straight popularity contest. It's time for
Quizlet.
And of course, the Quizlet today is in the form of a poem. The prize, and these are rare, is a 56-page book of poetry that has been featured throughout the 7 years of our contest. Actually 6. So a valuable book indeed. And this Quizlet is in the form of a poem. Once you have it figured out, please raise your hand and I will recognize you and you may give your answer. Imagine if Utica Rotary's first lady got rid of her good-for-nothing spouse and hooked up with a guy named Carter, who had also been kicked out of the house. Carter's ex is named Mitzi of Utica Rotary fame. If the first lady and Carter got married, what would be her full legal name?
Joanne Golden Rule.
Joanne Golden Rule is correct. I thought I was going to have to explain this. That wasn't a plan either.
Could you give us it again, John?
It's a time-honored Utica Rotary tradition that the defending champion leads off the competition, and we're grateful for that tradition. By the way, our contestants today are playing for the Golden Scepter, or Laurel, and hearty congratulations. Laurel and hearty congratulations. We're going to break with the tradition this year of the defending champion leading off the competition. That person happens to be me this year. And I, as defending champion, am in front of you now accepting the Rotary Poetic Challenge. I'm starting the meeting with a blank sheet of paper, and as each contestant comes up, I will write a limerick based on their presentation. And at the end of the meeting, I will present those limericks as my entry into this year's competition.
Couldn't think of anything, huh?
Having said that and put my neck right on the poetic line, I will introduce our first contestant, the 1996 Poet Laureate and President of the Utica Rotary Club, Larry Golden.
It's not all these papers, just almost. This is the tale of a strapping young lad growing up on a farm with his mom and his dad and 3 sisters and horses and cows that went moo. The cows stood on 4 feet, the sisters on 2. That was a tale told by Dana Gerard at the start of it all, when we all were off guard. An ode that was simply about being bald. Follicle Lee, follicle ah, is what it was called. The first Poet Laureate Rotary call, this stanza I read was the start of it all. The birth of a Utica Rotary rite that's reborn each year without getting trite. 'Twas the year 95 in the month February, with Dandridge and even a golden named Larry, Gelati and Endrum, O'Donnell and Matt, Mike Evans and Simpson in poetic combat. Matching their wits and their rhyme to the best, this was the first Poet Laureate test. And who emerged victor? Well, here's how it went. Dana won big. He was president. The rest is now history, well worth review. I won the crown once. Dana, he won a few. Tom, Chris, and Jack Dale fill the rest of the pack. Please join me now, friends, as we take a look back. 96 was the best year for me, I would say. The hub headline read, Golden Rules, what a day. The wannabe has-beens, my poem They Did Fear, stomped on all the competitors I faced that year. That was the year for both old and young codgers, from Dandridge to Dana, who played Mr. Rogers. Mike Simpson was cleverest, as he expressed, in 4 different languages, our 4-way test. Lest I bask in that glory, my reign didn't last. The scepter and crown the next year from me passed to none other than one Tom O'Donnell, that elf, with his poem, If I Don't Win, I Will Kill Myself. His attempt was so cutesy, the best of all pranks, he started a line, let us fill in the blanks. He bemoaned all his losses, and rightfully so. How he won that year, none of us know. Of all the cheap tricks, this one hurt us the most, from a man who was bound for a clerical post. His burning and searing and wrecking confession, winning wasn't his goal, it was just an obsession. The year 98 we were due for a change. To lyrics with music it really was strange, an effort that Dylan himself couldn't match. That's the year Poetess Laureate Chris did hatch. That's Pataki, the poet. Don't make a mistake. Not Pataki, the governor of this Empire State. And though she ascended to laureate fame, poet lyricist, I think, should be her name. You might recall Evans that year. He was great. Tennis starts at 8. That's much too late. 'Twas the club's shortest poem, not the club's shortest poet, because that would be me, 5'6", and I show it. 99 was the year that showed age doesn't matter, as Jack Dale found the poet's crown on his platter. Time Flies was his title, You Are History, the theme. His days of yore look back seemed just like a dream. His 48 years with our club was reviewed as Gerard and O'Donnell, and even I stewed. Pataki was absent because she knew the score. We didn't have Chris to kick around anymore. And then in 2000, our winner was Dapper. The crown went to a membership chairperson rapper. In sheer desperation, Gerard cleared the decks, seeking Rotary members from Generation X. As John Coxwell noted in his Hub report, the contest had reached a new level of sport. For as poets may come and as poets may go, last year Dana became the favored yo. That brings us to date. There's not much more to say. That's the Laureate history right up to today. From Dana to Larry to Tom, then to Chris, to Jack, back to Dana, the crown turns and twists. Who will emerge as the master of verse? Your vote will determine, for better or worse. And to make sure this year that we do it upright, join us all at the PLCB, that's tonight. In just 6 short hours, this year's victor will crown at the Fort Schuyler Club celebrating downtown. An evening of dancing and fun for us all at the Poet Laureate Coronation Ball.
Thank you, Larry. You know, kissing up to me is going to do you no good. Our next contestant is a first-time contestant in the Poet Laureate contest, so please be gentle. She also has undergone some surgery, some rehab surgery on her hand, and is heavily sedated. So we're not going to administer the standard drug test for all three. Would you please all greet past President Linda Allen.
Once upon a Friday sunny, I entered strong and funny the long and winding driveway up to the Twin Ponds door. While I trotted nearly running, suddenly there came a hunting, as of Rotarians' constant humming from inside the Twin Ponds door. Oh, many visitors I brightened, only this and nothing more. Ah, clearly I define, it was July of '99. The second year of royal reign was mine. Oh, I felt so very pretty, extra special, clever, witty. As I approached the palace door, I thought, I'll never be a bore. Only this and nothing more. How quickly I was surrounded by those who gently pounded upon my back their wishes of good cheer. They shook my hand, they smiled at me, approved of what I wore. This was, I mused, the stuff of lore, only this and nothing more. I cast my eyes upon the feast as through my head there ran the speech that I would give to outline here 2 goals. When suddenly, just to the east, I spied the portly form of Reese, who approached me with the lawyer's 4. What's this, I thought, but nothing more. Right to my face he tried his con, this balding Teletubby Don. As he whined of Rotary training, where he'd learned, and now at last he said it was his turn. He had also brought with him St. Louis, who held the Rotary Bible laws, the very newest. And you thought Al Gore could be a bore. Only this and nothing more. Johnson pointed and Gelati shouted, at words Golden and Gorman said Rotary touted. Every president shall serve 1 term. Well, presidents may abide by rules, but in royalty's hands they are just but tools for doing what we wish, I so implore. Only this and nothing more. Oh, Reese, you beast, I'd like to knock you on your keys. The spotlight feels so good upon my face. I can't let go. Don't make me go. I've told Rick Hallahan to pay you lots of dough for my year 2 presidential wine to pour. But only this and nothing more. For a moment they recoiled, and I thought I had them foiled when Reese laughed, and then he whistled through his teeth. From his pocket out came a baton, and as Don waved it, there came from Twin Ponds a chorus of Rotary voices, too many for even a queen to ignore. Just 1 year as president. Only this and nothing more.
Vice President Linda and her manservant Ray. Our next contestant, I believe, who will also be using props, the 1998 Poet Laureate, Rotary Turncoat for a while, and then seeing the error in their ways and returning to the clouds. Chris Pataki. Chris, are you there? Let's welcome Chris.
Told me that if there was ever thermonuclear war, that there would be two things left. One of them would be a cockroach, and the other would be Cher. But I do think that we need to add something to that list, and that is the Clintons. So with that said, it's February 2nd once again, and we await the rodent to descend. While Bill Murray plays golf at Pebble Beach, the poet laureate is once again within my reach. Sonny would have been here today to sing with me if he hadn't been felled by that big old tree. What better day to repeat our revelry than that of our verse of our Rotary.
We won't find out if well, I don't know. All that.
Well, here we are. It's Groundhog Day. We speak our verse and wait for you to say, babe. Deja vu, babe. Deja vu, babe. It's me again, babe. I know my words won't pay the rent. The more they're spoke, the more I must repent. Babe. Deja vu, babe. Deja vu, babe. Here I am, babe. You are here to judge the best. To pick the one from all the rest. And when you're done, you will confess that once again I am the best. So give all your votes to me. There is no other that could ever be. Vote. Vote for me, babe. Vote for me, babe. Crown me once again, babe.
Chris will be occurring at a frat party here at the college. That will be share and share again. Our next contestant, actually I'm using up all my good material. Our next contestant has left an indelible mark on our competition with phrases such as high price is bad, low price is good, and Heat a Man Greenspan. Please welcome, I believe, a 4- or 5-time poet laureate contestant, Mike Evans. Let's welcome him.
Thank you very much. This is number 6. I only missed one. Last year, when you won. Keen observers of this annual frolic will have discovered that there may be several shortcuts to victory, and I'll identify them. 1, you could follow Tom O'Donnell's example of not giving a damn about time limits and being rewarded for ignoring the rules.
What rules?
Number 2, you could offer multiple entries, as Larry Golden has done, figuring that if one failed to inspire the judges, certainly another would inspire them. A 3rd, you could sing your entry, a la Chris Pataki. And 4th, you could knock off a musical style and use a contemporary theme, as Dana did last year. Ladies and gentlemen, I intend to follow all of these shortcuts to the coordination. My first entry is, having been preempted, I'll offer it anyway, an homage to our very first poet laureate. It is entitled Ode to FX Matt II, with apologies to John Keats. Oh, for a draught of the vintage that is cooked and cooled in that great copper kettle, tasting of barley malt, hops and rice, the fullness of your brewmaster's metal. Oh, for a beaker of Saranac, enriched with the true Munich art, with beaded bubbles winking at the brim to toast your warm and true and faithful heart. Our hearts ache, and drowsy numbness pains our senses as if hemlock we had drunk, or emptied some dull opiate to the drains. You are gone, and we are in an endless funk. Fade far away, FX, and quite forget what you among the leaves cannot have known, the weariness, the fever, and the fret. Here, where folks sit and hear each other groan, where palsy shakes a few sad, lost gray hairs, where youth grows pale and spectre thin and dies, where we are left so full of sorrow and despairs that we shall never see again the twinkle in your eyes. Oh, for one more chuckle, one more line of verse to make us smile, and yet it cannot be. You're gone, but we revel in the memory, and we drink one final toast, FX, to thee. I thought I was going to be preempted on my second entry, but fortunately I haven't been. The title of this is, Oh, Where Have You Gone? Oh, where have you gone, Billy boy, Billy boy? Oh, where have you gone, charming Billy? We would like to check your pockets for the silverware and lockets and other things you might have lifted self-belief. Oh, where have you gone, Billy boy, Billy boy? Oh, where have you gone, old slick Willie? I have gone to Arkansas, but clearly not to practice law, just to find me a purty two-legged filly. Oh, where have you gone, Billy boy, Billy boy? Oh, where have you gone, charming Billy? We'd like to know, if we can, why you fired at the Sudan a missile aimed at a simple aspirin factory. Oh, where have you gone, Billy boy, Billy boy? Oh, where have you gone, old slick Willie? I always find some cover for every dalliance and lover, but I had trouble hiding Ms. Lewinsky. Oh, where have you gone, Billy boy, Billy boy? Oh, where have you gone, charming Billy? You should have paid a fine for using that Buddhist shrine to launder cash that came from the communist Chinese. Oh, where have you gone, Billy boy, Billy boy? Oh, where have you gone, old slick Willie? You think that Temple Bash raised lots of Chinese cash? We made much more on secret high technology. Oh, where have you gone, Billy boy, Billy boy? Oh, where have you gone, Charmin' Billy? We need to ask you why those files from FBI were found inside the White House. Tell us, Billy. Oh, where have you gone, Billy boy, Billy boy? Oh, where have you gone, old Slick Willie? That was just a bureaucratic glitch, not to satisfy an itch for dirt on folks opposed to me and Hillary. Oh, where have you gone, Billy boy, Billy boy? Oh, where have you gone, Charmin' Billy? Those furnishings you stole, including every silver bowl, were gifts not to you, but to our country. Oh, where have you gone, Billy boy, Billy boy? Oh, where have you gone, old Slick Willie? We rode on Air Force One and trashed it just for fun. But getting mad about it's really pretty silly. Oh, where have you gone, Billy boy, Billy boy? Oh, where have you gone, Charmin' Billy? Your malfeasance and your lust dishonored your sacred trust, and tarnished White House is your only legacy. Oh, where have you gone, Billy boy, Billy boy? Oh, where have you gone, old Slick Willie? I'm gonna try the speaker circuit. For $100 grand, I'll really work it. I'll make millions. A nice old legacy to me. Oh, where have you gone, Billy boy, Billy boy? Oh, where have you gone, Charmin' Billy? I ain't gone nowhere, you see. I'll be right here in D.C., me and Hillary, every night on your TV. Thank you.
Our next contestant is another first-time poet, a person who's been writing since she was a teenager, but has never performed her works in public. So please, again, be gentle. Let's welcome Carol Jubenville.
Do you know how nervous you can be? I brought my fans. Yay, Carol! Yay! Not yet. We all like visual effects. And mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Where's Linda? It wasn't kind, was it?
You're headed for the dungeon.
But you're gone. And I'm going to be a good queen. Evermore.
Hello, Tubby.
Oh Rotary, thou art such fun. Each and every Friday to you I will run. I know I must pass the four-way test. I promise to do my best.
Oh, yeah. No,
To give of oneself.
Laughing at me. You're not interrupting, it's okay. Hold on for a second, what do you want?
I spent a little time doing this. Could you be a little considerate,
Oh,
please?
Rory, you are such fun. I mean, my son could do that.
What makes you such an expert, buddy? What makes you such an expert?
How about two orbs and two scepters, huh?
Anybody can plunge.
Well, I think as as a poet, you're all wet. I think that should be reflected in the Miss Congeniality vote. That's my hair. Our penultimate contestant, and those of you enjoyed the second to the last, is, I believe, a 5 or 6 time contestant as well. From across the pond now, a U.S. citizen, Jeff Wheatley. Let's welcome Jeff.
I asked you 5 times I've stood there. I've sung, I've danced, I've put on funny clothes, never got anywhere at all. So today I said to hell with it, I'm going to come just as I am, simple old me. Talk about something I know about. Not about jogging or about tennis or none of these things. Motor cars. Motor cars. And so my first, and there are many more to come, my first presentation is dedicated to all classic car owners. You see them sitting head to head like pigeons on the tiles, whispering from breakfast time to bed of motor cars and miles. You see them intent and all profound with part enjoyment gleaming from phrases singular in sound and mystical in meaning. First they discuss the car as such and fill the listener's ear with all the virtues of the clutch and the merits of the gear. Then one explains the reason why his sparking plug is better, then takes occasion to decry the other's carburetor. About this conversational feast much anecdote is strewn, stories of highways unpoliced and records overthrown. When each imagination's aid to grace his tale invoking, tells of the famous run he made to Albany or Woking. At last with reverence be it told to them who favoured are, the mighty garage doors unrolled to reveal the actual car. It comes pushed slowly forth by hand, a process antiquated, but one to which I can understand, for it's truly hibernated. Around the machine.
There was a Rotarian named Wheatley who, for a British chap, dressed quite neatly. The ladies near wilt when he's wearing a kilt, for he flashes his kneecaps discreetly. I think that was the best one. There is a past prez named Alan who's rehabbing a damaged right talon. The pain is okay, it's living with Ray that makes her drink hooch by the gallon. There is a contestant, Pataki, a poet laureate, quite cocky. Her send-up of Cher, hey, play again with your hair. She turned back the musical clocky. I didn't have much time to write. A contestant named Jubenville snapped and left your MC a bit chapped. Our party she crashed and left with a splash. For some strange reason you all clapped. Our president's name is Larry. Of his gifts you must certainly be wary. For the weekly Quizlet, hey, what the hell is it? That vibrating clock was too scary. Only one more. Mike Evans, financial wizard so dapper, an expert financial plan mapper. We should be happy, not sad. High prices are bad. Oh, by the way, your portfolios are all in the crapper.